I'm starting to think that Coco might be my favorite movie. And it's surprising to me because I'm not inclined to love Disney Pixar films. I'm more of a fan of graphic 70s kind of dramas like The Godfather, Taxi Driver, and The Deer Hunter. All I know is that Coco resonated with me in a way that no other film ever has. This is a video essay to help me discover why it was so significant to me. And I'm also making this to share this with you, and maybe you can get something out of this. I found studying the psychoanalysts, principally Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung, very helpful in helping me understand my affinity for Coco and how the movie's creators, Lee Unkrich and Adrian Molina, incorporated deeply powerful mythological and psychological themes into the story. I'm no expert in psychoanalysis, but I am a fan of the writings of Freud and Jung and their study of the nature of the subconscious. In a second video, I will unpack Miguel's hero's journey using Joseph Campbell's work as a primary source. So buckle in, it's gonna get weird. Let's start at the beginning.
Sometimes I think I'm cursed.
Never! That man's music was a curse!
Our family thinks music is a curse.
Well, you're cursed.
What?
Miguel's curse, outlined in the first line of the film, is that his family lives in a matriarchal tyranny. His grandmother Elena, who modeled her behavior after Imelda, her own grandmother, has created a cult. It's the Rivera cult of shoes and no music. It's masked deftly in the movie and humorously, but if you look at Elena's behavior in light of cult leader, the family's deep dysfunction becomes clear. What Miguel is missing is the positive male aspect in his family. His entire family is missing it. That's why it's useful to think of Freud in the framing of this problem. Imelda formed the Rivera cult of shoes as a survival response to the trauma of her husband's abandonment. It left scars with her daughter Coco, and Miguel's task is to heal Coco, lifting his family's curse. Hence, brilliantly by the way, the name of the movie is not Miguel, it's Coco. Miguel has a fear response to Elena in many scenes. Shoulders shrugged, eyes wide. That's the response to a predatory animal, and that's going to come up later. This shot of Elena suffocating Miguel in her bosom, that's her way of saying to Miguel, don't go anywhere, you belong to me. Don't be a man, I will protect you from the world. Now, I've thought a lot about why the Rivera family are shoemakers. And this is really quite brilliant. Shoes are a weapon. You see it in both Elena and Imelda when they attack using their shoes, la chancla, which every Mexican knows about, right? So if you think about it, the Rivera family is an arms manufacturer for the tyrannical matriarch. The search for the father. The torn picture is significant because the patriarchal head of the family is missing. Miguel's own father is a puppet for his mother. He's been indoctrinated into Team Shoes. He doesn't stand up for Miguel against his mother's wishes until the very end of the film. To compensate for the lack of a strong father figure in his own family, Miguel finds a hero in Ernesto de la Cruz. Ernesto is a musician, which Miguel wants to become himself. See, boys, and if you have sons you know this, they imitate their fathers. Miguel finds a counterbalance to his family's tyranny by building his own ofrenda to Ernesto. I'm gonna get uncomfortably Freudian here, so bear with me. The guitar is a phallus. Sorry. His pursuit of a guitar throughout the film and his own grandmother's opposition to Miguel having one is symbolic of Miguel's own manhood. Speaking of symbolism, most men in the movie wear hats. Miguel's two immediate male role models in the land of the living, his father and Tio Berto, do not wear hats. Hats are on top of the head, in opposite polarity to shoes on the feet. This significance is used throughout the film to push the narrative along. Men in Miguel's family wear hats eventually, but usually late in the game. Every time a man wearing a hat dies, or is humbled or emasculated, he loses his hat. It's worth pointing out that not only men wear hats. Usually it's men and women playing music together, such as the music competition winners Los Chacalacos. Dante is Miguel's conscious, as well as his budding masculinity, sort of like a Jiminy Cricket. See how Elena throws her shoe at Dante? Dante tries to guide Miguel through his journey, and over the course of the film, Dante develops as Miguel's story progresses. The dream. Miguel's journey through the land of the dead takes place in a dream. Hate to burst your bubble if you don't believe in the dream theory, but too much evidence points to this as an important narrative trope. Let's take a look at Pepita. I nearly collapsed when I discovered this. Pepita is Miguel's psychological manifestation of his tyrannical mother. Pepita is Imelda's spirit animal. Miguel, Imelda, Frida, and Ernesto all have spirit animals, or alebrijes, which are glimpses into these characters' persona. Imelda, being the force of nature that she is, has an alebrije that's huge and terrifying. So Pepita is a chimera. Chimeras are mythological creatures, traditionally female, that are lion, goat, and serpent hybrids. Pepita also has a bit of predatory bird thrown in for good measure. So Miguel's fear of his grandmother manifests itself in the chimera, Pepita. Elena and Imelda are essentially the same tyrant in Miguel's subconscious. Chimeras are variants of the mythological dragon of chaos. Tiamat in the Mesopotamian creation myth, Daenerys in Game of Thrones, Maleficent in Sleeping Beauty. All these characters are variants on the Ouroboros, the ancient pagan symbol of creation and destruction. To put concisely and insufficiently, the ancient mother of creation and potential, the source of all creation as well as the terrifying depths of chaos. Early man was hunted by cats, snakes, and birds. So deeply ingrained in our fear response is an amalgamation of these predators into one terrifying super creature. Pepita is used deftly as a manifestation of everything Miguel is trying to get away from in his development to manhood, both in the land of the living and in his dream. His family is a dragon of chaos trying to pursue him. The lie. Hector is not a blameless character in this movie.
Well, shoot.
He lies.
Looks like no one put up your photo, Frida.
Okay, when I said I was Frida just now, that was a lie. That was a lie. I apologize for that.
But all his lies serve the purpose of returning to the land of the living to be part of Coco's memories and therefore lift the family's curse. Hector also lies to himself. He says that he hates musicians, but he in fact is a great musician. Music is what separated him from his daughter. He denies his past, which is part of his character's makeup. Now, credit to my son Julian for pointing this out. Hector doesn't wear shoes when we first see him. He remains shoeless until the end of the film. Miguel also lies to Hector about De La Cruz being his only family in the land of the dead. When Miguel sings, "The world is mi familia," he's lying. The world is not his family. He has a screwed up family. We all do. Once he proclaims this lie, his eyes set on his idol, Ernesto. Then he falls into the water for the first time. He is rescued by Ernesto, but his rescue is from shallow water, and the rescuer himself, Ernesto, has shallow intentions. The descent and new information. Ernesto is shown to be a false father figure, and in fact, murdered Miguel's true great-grandfather, Hector. In narrative, when the main protagonist falls into a deep cave, that protagonist is presented with new information. The hero's descent is accompanied by facing a harsh reality, such as when Luke finds out Darth Vader is his real father and gets his hand chopped off. I found the line, "I'm proud that we're family," to be odd at first, until I found out later that the proclamation of truth is part of the psychological healing process. In narrative, the proclamation of truth frees from the lie. Subsequently, the truth is heard by Miguel's family, and he is rescued from the depths. Positive aspect of the feminine. Imelda begins to assist in breaking the family curse by helping Hector. She's willing to put her pride aside by allowing Coco to remember her father. The use of the song La Llorona, the crying woman, is really brilliant. The legend of the crying woman is famous in Mexican folklore. A woman drowns her children in a river, and her ghost haunts the riverside, crying and searching for her dead children. Perfect framing for how Elena and Imelda lord over their children. When Imelda sings La Llorona, it's her shadow work, namely her resolution with the aspect of her persona that she has denied for all the years since Hector's abandonment. Frida Kahlo's character in the film shows a positive aspect of the feminine as well. Her wise and encouraging nature stands as a counterbalance to Miguel's own family. The tyrannical father. The world was Ernesto de la Cruz's family. Once that family learns of the truth, his family turns against him. This is the fall of all tyrannies. To be set against the truth means to be taken to task by the truth. It's fitting that Pepita, the terrible mother, kicks him into a bell. Imagine Ernesto de la Cruz is like Hook from the Peter Pan stories. In the movie Hook, Captain Hook hates clocks and is later taken down by an alligator named Tick-Tock. Time brings death, the great equalizer. Resolution. Once Miguel awakens from his dream, he is armed with his weapon, the guitar, and new information revealed in his dream. He is ready to rescue his true father and heal his family. The final trial is to get around his grandmother and to get Coco to remember Hector. This shot of the headless father is the best shot in the movie. It parallels the photo of the headless father. It's great. Once Miguel's father grows a spine and allows his son to sing "Remember Me" to Coco, the curse is lifted, and Hector's story can be told. Now, this is where the movie enters the realm of brilliance. Whether or not Miguel's journey to the land of the dead was a dream or not, the outcome remains the same. Coco remembers her father, his story is told, and a new status quo develops. Miguel's family values music, and Miguel can pursue his dream of becoming a musician with his family's blessing. Listen to what Hector says after Chicharron passes away.
When there's no one left in the living world who remembers you, you disappear from this world. We call it the final death.
It's true. If you die on this earth and no one is around to remember you, Who's to say that you ever existed at all? It's not fantasy, it's more of a meta-truth. Take this quote from Virgil Elizondo. In our culture, we die 3 deaths. The first death is when our bodies cease to function, when our eyes no longer hold a presence. The second death is when our bodies are returned to Mother Earth, and we can no longer see it. The third death, the most definitive death, is when there's no one left alive to remember us. Hector passes into the land of the living the next year, Coco at his side and shoes on his feet. Now, this is the shot in the movie that gets me every single time. The look on Hector's face when he knows he's going to pass into the land of the living. It absolutely breaks me to pieces. Pepita and Dante enter into the land of the living. Now in proportion, balance between the masculine and feminine is restored. In Proud Corazon, Miguel sings, "Say that I'm crazy or call me a fool, but last night it seems I dreamed about you." The movie is explicitly saying that Miguel's journey to the land of the dead was a dream. Also, notice that as many times as Miguel falls into the water, the pictures he carries never get wet. It's a dream. But who's to say that dreams are not real? Divinity. Mexican culture is highly religious. I was looking for religious symbology in the movie, and I found it in the use of fireworks. When Miguel breaks into Ernesto's tomb, he apologizes.
Sorry.
To whom? To the divine. The transcendent fireworks, acting as the star Geppetto wishes upon in Pinocchio. The final shot is Miguel playing guitar and wearing a hat, elevated by the other men in the family. Above him are the fireworks, God's manifestation in the film. In conclusion, I had to make this video. I've obsessed over the idea for well over a year. Now that I've made it, I feel like it's an appropriate precursor to my entire teaching philosophy and my ideas of music as a whole, which I will expand upon in following videos. I sincerely hope you got something out of this video. Take care. Please like and subscribe.